Most people today feel like they're chasing something they can't quite name. Success, meaning, peace, balance. We fill our calendars, optimize our routines, chase endless goals, and yet, the more efficient we become, the more hollow it all feels. What if the problem isn't that we're failing to do enough, but that we're doing too much of the wrong thing? What if the secret isn't in more action, but in less forcing? There's an ancient wisdom that has whispered this truth for over 2,000 years. A way that can't be told, a path that can't be named. And yet, when you stop searching, you're already walking it. This is the Tao. And to understand it, we begin, as Zhuangzi did, with a story. There's a story Zhuangzi tells about a carpenter named Stone traveling through the state of Qi with his apprentice. They come upon a massive oak tree at a village shrine, so large its shade could shelter thousands of oxen, so wide it would take 100 men with joined hands to circle its trunk. People gather around it in awe. The carpenter walks past without a second glance. His apprentice is bewildered. "Master, in all my years following you, I've never seen such magnificent timber. Why didn't you even pause to look at it?" "Forget it," Stone replies. "It's useless wood. Make boats from it and they'll sink. Make coffins and they'll rot quickly. Make utensils and they'll break. Make doors and they'll leak sap. Make pillars and they'll be worm-eaten. It's worthless timber, that's why it's lived so long." That night, the oak tree appears to the carpenter in a dream. "What are you comparing me to? Useful trees? The cherry, the pear, the orange. As soon as their fruit ripens, they're stripped and abused. Their large branches are broken, their small branches snapped. Their usefulness makes their lives bitter. None reach their natural span. This is what happens everywhere. I've been trying to be useless for a long time. It almost killed me. But now I've achieved it, and it's of great use to me. If I were useful, would I have grown so large?" The apprentice asks, "If it tries so hard to be useless, why does it serve as a shrine tree?" Stone laughs. "Silence. Don't say another word. The tree merely stops there. It doesn't want people worshipping it. If it weren't a shrine, it might still get cut down. Besides, what it protects itself with is different from ordinary trees. To judge it by conventional standards is to miss the point entirely. We live in a world that worships usefulness. Everything must be optimized, productive, efficient. Every moment must generate value. Every person must justify their existence through measurable output. We've turned ourselves into the useful trees, bearing fruit on schedule, getting stripped and pruned, never reaching our natural span. We've forgotten that there's another way, a way that doesn't force, doesn't strive, doesn't constantly justify itself. The ancient Chinese called it the Tao. And understanding it requires unlearning almost everything modern culture has taught us about how to live. Around the 6th century BCE, during the twilight of the Zhou dynasty, a text emerged that would shape consciousness across the East. The Tao Te Ching, 81 short chapters of poetry, cryptic, paradoxical, simple, yet profound. Its supposed author was Lao Tzu, the Old Master. Legend says he was a court archivist who, tired of corruption, left civilization behind. At the border, a gatekeeper begged him to record his wisdom before leaving. In one night, Lao Tzu wrote the Tao Te Ching, handed it over, and vanished. Did this actually happen? Probably not. Lao Tzu may have been many people, or a symbol, but the legend tells us something true, that this wisdom was born from someone willing to abandon everything society valued. The opening line sets the tone. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. From the first breath it tells you, words can only point. They can't capture. The Tao isn't something you talk about. It's something you live. A century later came Zhuangzi, playful where Lao Tzu was solemn. His stories danced at the edge of reason, filled with laughter and paradox. Where Lao Tzu gave structure, Zhuangzi gave life. Together, they revealed something revolutionary, that freedom isn't found by controlling life, but by flowing with it. So what is the Tao? The question itself is part of the problem. The Tao isn't a thing. It's not an object you can hold, not an idea you can define. It's the movement behind all movements, the way things flow when you stop interfering. Lao Tzu uses water to show it. Water is soft, yielding, patient. It always seeks the lowest place, and yet over time, it shapes mountains. It nourishes all things without claiming credit. It never forces, and yet nothing can resist it. That's the nature of the Tao. Soft overcoming hard, yielding overcoming rigid. Emptiness as the source of usefulness. A bowl is useful because of its emptiness, not its clay. A room is useful because of its open space, not its walls. The Tao is that space, the invisible pattern that lets everything exist. From this, the Tao gives birth to one. One gives birth to two. Two gives birth to three. Three gives birth to all things. This isn't cosmology, it's poetry. It means everything that exists comes from what cannot be defined. Yin and yang emerge, dark and light, feminine and masculine, rest and activity. They're not enemies, they're phases of one continuous rhythm. Night becomes day, winter becomes summer, rest becomes action. Each contains the seed of the other. Harmony doesn't come from one defeating the other, it comes from their dance. And if this is how the universe moves, how should we live? The answer is Wu Wei. Effortless action. It doesn't mean doing nothing. It means moving with the current, not against it. Acting so naturally aligned that effort disappears. The Tao Te Ching says, the master does nothing, yet leaves nothing undone. A skilled swimmer doesn't fight the water, they merge with it. A martial artist doesn't meet force with force, they redirect it. A wise person doesn't control life, they cooperate with it. Zhuangzi shows this in the story of Cook Ding. After 19 years of cutting oxen, his knife is still sharp. He doesn't cut through bone. He finds the spaces between. He says, a good cook changes his knife once a year because he cuts. A mediocre cook once a month because he hacks. I've had mine for 19 years, and it's still sharp as new. This is Wu Wei. Not passivity, but mastery so deep that action feels like breathing. Closely tied to this is Pia, the uncarved block. It's the simplicity before society carved you into usefulness, the raw wood before shaping, the fullness of all potential before you're narrowed into a role. Modern life carves us constantly into careers, identities, brands, expectations. Taoism says, stop carving, return to your original simplicity. The uncarved block isn't ignorance, it's wholeness. It's the strength of the useless tree, so vast precisely because it refused to be turned into tools. And when you live this way, aligned with what you truly are, the Tao flows through you. That living alignment is called Ti. Not virtue by rules, but the quiet power of integrity. The tree has Ti when it grows according to its nature. The river has Ti when it follows its course. You have Ti when you stop pretending to be something you're not. How do you return to this? You stop adding. You start dropping. You let stillness find you. The Tao Te Ching says, in pursuing knowledge, in pursuing the Tao, every day something is dropped. Meditation becomes simple, not forcing silence, but letting the mud settle until the water clears. Movement becomes graceful, not striving for form, but allowing flow. Breathing returns to the soft rhythm of an infant, natural, effortless. The Taoists called it Ziran, self-so. Being yourself without forcing, letting things be what they are, including you. Zhuangzi once told us, in the court, officials worshipped a dead turtle shell, polished and revered. They offered the living turtle a place of honor. The turtle said, "I'd rather be alive, dragging my tail through the mud." That's the Taoist choice. Freedom over honor, life over image, flow over form. Even a drunk falling from a cart survives unbroken because he's relaxed, unresisting. The rigid breaks. The flexible survives. The softest thing in the universe, a tree that bends in the storm, lives. A branch that resists, snaps. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. But Taoism also warns, don't misuse this wisdom. Wu Wei isn't laziness. Going with the flow isn't avoidance. True effortless action requires deep awareness. It's not apathy, it's harmony. The Taoist sage isn't passive. They act precisely when action aligns with the flow of things, and rest when it doesn't. Water is gentle, until we live in a world as far from the Tao as it's ever been, every hour optimized, every second monetized. We've become efficient and empty. We force everything: sleep, work, happiness, meaning. We've forgotten how to let things happen. The Tao Te Ching says, nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. A tree doesn't rush to grow. A river doesn't rush to reach the sea. What would your life look like if you trusted yours? The useless tree grew massive because it wasn't trying to be useful. So what in your life are you overshaping, overforcing, overcontrolling, that might thrive if left alone? What if you stopped hacking and started flowing? What if you stopped striving and started listening? The Tao isn't something you find. It's what you are, before you went looking. It's breathing you. It's beating your heart without your help. Your body hasn't forgotten the Tao, only your mind has. The carpenter's stone walks past the tree because he's trapped in categories, useful or useless. The tree has transcended those categories entirely. It's just growing, vast, silent, whole. That is the invitation. Not to escape life, but to stop forcing it. To stop carving yourself to fit every mold. To be like water, soft. To trust, as Lao Tzu said, that nature never hurries. Yet everything,